Good evening and welcome to this edition of the Sports Den. My name is Domenic Papa. We're going to do it up, talk it up, the sports scene. We've got a great panel assembled here to talk some sports with us. Before we get to that, we've got to give a shout out to the Tecumseh Thunder senior baseball team. They come back home from being out east with a silver medal. Jamie Kell and the gang doing a great job. Nothing to be ashamed of. They lost to a very good British Columbia team and did cap an outstanding season, though, for the Tecumseh Thunders. Also, we got to give a shout-out to the AKO Fratmen. They did lose their opener. They'll be at home this week, try to get back on track, try to even out their record at 1-1. They lose against Ottawa, 22-6, or I should say against Hamilton. They'll take on Ottawa this week. Speaking of that, you can watch that game. I'll let our producer put the information up for you. The Sooners will take on the Fratmen. Game time, or broadcast time, I should say, is at 6:30 with the pregame show. 7 o'clock is the kickoff. We'll have all the action for you right here on we-tv.ca from the Windsor Stadium. On this edition of the Sports Den, we're going to talk some football. We're going to talk about the NFL. We want to know from the panel who are the top quarterbacks and why are they the top quarterbacks and what makes them successful. I'm sure that'll create an interesting discussion. Also, the NFL just recently announced that their halftime show at the Super Bowl, well, if you want to perform at it, you're going to pay the NFL. How does that change the dynamics of that? And what a statement made by the NFL. And if time does allow us on the show, we will talk about concussions, which is a big topic in sports these days. Certainly we can cover an entire show with that, but we'll try to get a couple of minutes there with our panel to talk about concussions. If you do want to get involved with the show, you can certainly participate by getting on the Twitter feed, and you can Twitter us at SportsDen Live, and if I get some time, I'll read some of the comments or questions you have for the panel, and we'll see if we can get discussing what you have to say about the topics we're discussing. Let's get to our guests right now. To the far side of the table first, a longtime friend of mine, a great sports guy, a tremendous supporter of a lot of the sports in our area. He's also a big contributor to the Westby Awards. This guy makes a lot of things happen for a lot of sports groups. We're very happy to have him here with us. Cam Lasavita from BMO Nesbitt Burns. Welcome to the show, Cam.
Thank you, Dominic.
This is the first time at our studio.
First time here, yes.
Finally got you in. I know you're a busy guy, but just the same. Everybody always talks and asks me about business, things like that. I guess if I'm going to ask anybody about business, I'm going to ask you, how is business?
You know what? It's going very well right now. There's a lot of positive things happening in the business world. Great headline in the paper the other day about the local potential jobs with Ford. Quite optimistic that that's going to happen. So I think that would be great for Windsor if we can secure that Ford investment.
Yeah, we need it, that's for sure, and keep people working here. That's where we got to go. You make a big, you always contribute very generously to sports, Cam. Why is that such a, I guess, even a priority for you?
You know what? It has to do with obviously my own background. Playing at the high school and the university level, and I was struck by something that. First of all, let me back up and say this. I think every kid at some point growing up should play on a team. You learn so much by being part of a team. Okay, and I just feel that it's a tremendous experience to get instructions from your leaders, the coaches, interacting with the other kids, and some of these kids growing up don't have the same opportunities to participate in some of these sports. So I think it's very good to help some of these kids participate. Yeah,
and you do contribute. We appreciate that. Thanks for coming in today, okay?
You're welcome.
Also on the show, tremendous sportsman. He's the former athletic director. He's now retired. He's worked hard for a lot of years. He's earned his retirement. Catholic Central's lost, that's for sure, but Mike McKittrick is on the set with us. He joins us. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Thank you, Don.
It probably hasn't hit you yet, has it?
No, it's just regular summer break right now. Next week, come
Next
Tuesday.
week might be different, yeah.
I'm hoping that to meet with Coach Bauer and Coach Nacarado and go golfing on the first day of school.
Absolutely. Some great names there for sure that you've done some great work with. Talk to me, Mike, about being an athletic director at a high school level. How tough is that job?
Well, it's one that I thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah.
I loved it. It has its days because you have so many teams and so many kids participating and that sort of thing. And if I could, I think that Cam, talking about kids, if I could say anything to parents, would be do your kids a favor and have them, encourage them to play on a team. It is all of the things that employers look for in kids you learn in sport. You learn to cooperate, you learn teamwork, you learn to work as a team, you learn dedication, you learn loyalty. All of those things are ingrained in you because you're a member of a team, and they are things that you will use for the rest of your life and will make you an employee that somebody would want to hire based on that criteria that they know you possess already, and that sort of thing. Being an athletic director, I think one of the things that you ingrain most of all, not only in your coaches, they already know it, but kids are students first and they're athletes second. And you do your academics and the athletics come easily after that. But it was a great job, great career. I love Catholic Central, I still do. I had great kids. You know, when you talk about Matt Martin and Tyrone Crawford and Daryl Townsend and Mike Atkinson and all of these kids go through the program. You're pretty gifted, pretty lucky to be able to associate with those kids.
Yeah, you had a nice run with those guys, that's for sure. And it starts at the leadership level, and you did a great job there.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing that, Mike, and certainly thanks for coming into the show
Thanks
today.
for having me.
Also on the program, rounding out the panel, he works extremely hard with the Windsor Express basketball team. He also is a fine broadcaster. You'll see some of his work this fall here, right on we-tv.ca. We're excited to have him on board with us, and again, you can check him out. Mr. Matt Dumichel is with us.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks for having me.
You go 12 months a year with sports, don't you?
Pretty much. It's the only way I want to live my life. So
so
it's.
you got your hands in pretty much everything.
Yeah, I've added another role this fall. I'll be working with the Amherstburg Junior C team. So I told my wife that I'll see her in April, and we'll enjoy ourselves in the winter.
Do you have a favorite sport that you like to work with, or?
Not really. I mean, I just enjoy the beauty of sport, and I think the two previous guests that you introduced kind of repeated the same type of thing. I'll watch any kind of sport. I just like the competition. I like some people win, some people lose, but everybody learns something from it every single day, and it's just the unexpected that comes from watching a baseball game on a Tuesday night when a guy throws a no-hitter, or seeing a hat trick on a Saturday night. You never really know. It's never scripted, and there's not a lot of things like that.
And of course, you'd love to call something like that too, wouldn't you?
Sure, yeah. If we're going to see that here on We-TV, I'll take it.
Absolutely. Hopefully we get a few of those, that's for sure. Thanks for coming in, Matt.
Anytime.
We're going to get right into our discussion. We're going to start with the top quarterbacks in the NFL. Of course, the season just around the corner, and there's always that debate: who's the best leader? Who's that guy? We saw Wilson from Seattle here. We see him doing his thing. He leads his team to a Super Bowl. First of all, let me ask each one of you to give maybe your top three quarterbacks in the league right now today.
Oh, that's a tough one, Dom.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, the three names that come to mind for me would be like Drew Brees,
Okay.
Peyton Manning still,
Okay.
and even Tom Brady.
Okay.
But you're right. Russell Wilson. He's a young and up and coming player. He's if he's not a star right now, he's going to be a star, right?
You don't think he's a star yet?
Well, he is a star. Yeah, there's no question.
He's got a Super Bowl ring, Cam. I mean, I think once you get that Super Bowl ring, that gives you some clout.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because some greats never won the Super Bowl, right? Like Dan Marino.
Yeah, absolutely. Fran Tarkenton, who was my favorite. That's why I became a Vikings fan. Give my age away a little bit here. Yeah, I'm 30. So, but never won a Super Bowl. Made it to some Super Bowls, but couldn't get the job done. So where does he rate as one of the all-time greats? But who are the best three in the league right now, Mike?
Well, I think that longevity has to be, your criteria. Year after year, I mean, it's like tennis. You have Federer, Djokovic, Nadal, and Murray. Top four. Then you have your next group of four. Then you have your next group of four. But when you talk quarterbacks, I mean, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers at Green Bay, Drew Brees. These guys are the guys that you see every year in the playoffs. These are the guys who lead all of the statistical categories. These are the guys whose teams who are the best record, their completion records compared to their interception records, and their touchdowns compared to INTs is tremendous. And they have been doing it for year after year after year. I mean, Peyton Manning comes within a hair of a broken neck and comes back and sets a new record with 50 touchdowns the next year. And that may change this year with all the new rule changes, boy, and you can't touch any receivers.
Boy.
These guys could be
These
throwing for
quarterbacks
6,000
can light it
yards
up. Yeah, it's
instead
gonna
of
be interesting.
5,000 used to be the benchmark.
Sounds like you and Cam certainly have the Peyton Manning thing in place. But if you had to choose 3 guys today that you have to go to war with that are going to give you the chance to win that Super Bowl, who are the 3 that you're going to give?
I really like Cam Newton.
Thank you. That's where I'm at. You read my mind on that one.
I mean, at 6'5" and 250 and runs a 4.7 or a 4.6 in the 40 and throw the ball through a car wash without getting it wet. I mean, he tremendous.
I love that guy.
Yeah, Russell Wilson is there. You know, from all round, because you never know what can happen. You've got him, and then he's gone.
Okay, give me 3, Matt.
Without repeating some of the names in there, of course, Aaron Rodgers is one of the best, if not the best, as far as I'm concerned. You know, when I look at quarterbacks, I'm looking for a guy who makes his receivers better around him, and a guy who, if you've got to win one game, who are you going to put it on the right arm or left arm of? Tom Brady is up there, of course, for me. The guy that I love that's starting to creep into that list for me is Andrew Luck.
That's my guy, too.
Andrew
Cam
Luck
Newton and Andrew Luck,
is
those are the
exceptional. He's a
1-2
big
guys for
guy.
me.
He doesn't move very well, but Peyton Manning never did in that uniform either, and he did some great things. And, you know, that kid really impresses me. He is a quiet leader in the pocket and from everything I read and hear in the locker room, but he gets things done. So I've become a big fan of his.
I love Andrew Luck, and that's my 3. I love Rodgers. I don't know who I would take as 1, 2, 3, but Rodgers, Newton, Andrew Luck would be the 3 guys. Peyton Manning's had a great career. He's still showing that he can get the job done. I don't know if I think he might have peaked, with his 50 touchdowns or whatever.
If that's not peaking, I don't know.
Yeah, geez.
I don't know what's in store this year, but
Hell of a peak, I'll tell you. But Drew Brees, I loved Drew Brees when he was at Purdue, and I just think he's on his down cycle now. He's got his Super Bowl ring, so he's that great star status. But who would you go with, Cam? Who's that one guy that here's my life savings? I'm betting on this guy.
For this year?
Yeah,
For this year? I'd go with Drew Brees.
Really?
Yeah, I think New Orleans is a favorite to win the Super Bowl.
They're a good team still, no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and it falls on Brees' shoulders, no question about it. What about for you, Mike?
I like Cam Newton. He's got this rib injury right
Yeah.
now, so depending on what happens there, but for the guy that's up and coming, I would think that his team plays well defensively. He's such a weapon. They made the playoffs last year. They're hungry. I would love to see that happen. We'll see. You're only an injury away.
Yeah, well, but isn't that the case for a lot of teams?
A lot of teams.
That one. Let's face it. If Denver loses Peyton Manning,
Yeah.
Remember what happened in Indianapolis when Peyton went down?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So same thing. Who's your money guy?
my guy's Tom Brady.
Tom Brady,
I
still,
mean, the resume.
Some people
If you need one game to win, and it doesn't matter what he's done before or what he's done after. Tom Brady to me is the ultimate. So that for me is a pretty easy
Did
choice.
New England make the big trade today?
You know what? I've been working. I haven't read anything today.
I did. I had the
Okay.
radio on coming in.
Is this breaking news, Mike?
No, I'm sorry, because I didn't get the
I know
particulars.
I know the Spitfires made a big trade today. That's breaking
But,
news. But
New England picked up somebody today that was supposed to be big news, and I apologize because
that's okay.
I had to. shut my
Everybody's
car off and
running.
get in here.
Everybody's on the internet watching this anyway, so they'll just go to another page for a brief moment. I just read an article about this very topic that we're talking about, and they rated the top quarterbacks, and they gave us the top 10 in this article. And Adam just wrote in, he says, how come nobody's mentioning Matt Stafford? Obviously a Lions fan. Thanks for writing in, Adam. Matt Stafford wasn't on this top 10 list.
No. The one I looked at today, he wasn't on either.
Give me a reason why he should be.
No, he's too inconsistent.
Yeah.
Not there yet. Could he get into this top 10 list?
Well, I definitely think so. I mean, 2 years ago, he threw for 5,000 yards. I mean, he's definitely there, but
Without a very good offensive line.
without a very good offensive line, it seems to have improved this year from exhibition. In the exhibition games, the ones that he's played in, he's been terrific. Like, especially in that Oakland game, he marched them up and down the field for 2 quick scores and then basically retired. So I think it's there, but you hate to put any faith in the Lions. I mean, they've broken your heart so many times that you know you wonder. I just have no faith in that. I hope they do. I hope they do great. I hope for the city and for all of us that they do great. But I hate to put any faith in it.
Not a Stafford fan, Cam?
No, no. And you know what? I will say that he's not a rookie anymore. He's got to produce this year.
Yeah.
You know, come on now. How long has he been in the league now? Is it 5 or 6 years?
It's not that he hasn't had some weapons to work with.
Look, yeah, exactly.
Like he's had some guys to throw the ball to. And now he's got a decent running back in Bush, so that option's there now. It takes a little pressure.
He's making big money. It's time to earn that money.
He's making big money.
Yeah, and that's where it all comes from. And I think NFL fans in general always expect that every team is going to have an elite quarterback. That there's nobody that's 13th to 15th in that list. And Matthew Stafford may just fit into that. The Lions desperately need the guy because he's a young kid. He's a good-looking kid. He's somebody that they feel they can build around. So they gave him a lot of money. The Cincinnati Bengals just gave Andy Dalton a lot of money.
But
Andy
he's got
Dalton,
them to the playoffs too, though.
He has.
He hasn't won the big one yet, but you want consistency. I think he's been
and he's got an excellent team around him, and Green, their wide receiver there, is one of the better ones in the league too. So I mean, would you put Andy Dalton in that list higher than Matthew Stafford? I think most people would. But then when you look at the money and you see what Matt Stafford's getting paid, I think a lot of people are starting to become edgier if they haven't been already about when this kid's going to really turn it up.
Okay, I got to take a quick time out, guys. Think about this during the break. I want to know which quarterback in the NFL is under the gun this year to get their team at least to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying they have to win it, but what quarterback has the most pressure on them to get to the Super Bowl this year? And we'll have that question answered by our panel right after these messages. Come on back to the Sports Den.
Adding new products or services to your brochure? Updating those drab business cards? Or looking to create a striking window display? In need of some screen-printed signs for that construction site or promotional campaign? Posters, vehicle wraps, and a whole lot more. At Angel Star Digital, our expert design and production team are ready to meet all your promotional needs. For samples of our work, check out our website at www.angelstardigital.com, or you can call us at 519-969-0712. That's 519-969-0712.
Bye.
Great. My car's blocked in.
I got this. I think the parking brake is on. Geez, what's in this thing? Rocks?
Thanks for sticking around to the Sports Den. Domenic Papa with you. And of course, before we go back to our panel, just a quick reminder, this Saturday, August 30th, out at Windsor Stadium, www.we-tv.ca is where you want to be. That game will be broadcast live on the internet channel. The pregame show starting at 6:30. It's the Fratmen hosting the Ottawa Sooners. Good luck to Mike LaChance and the gang looking for that first victory of the OFC schedule. Cam Lasavita is in the studio with us from Nesbitt Burns, BMO Nesbitt Burns. Also Mike McKittrick, retired athletic director at Catholic Central. And sports guy, all-around sports guy, also coming on board with WeTV as a sports broadcaster, Matt Dumichel is with us. Question at the break, gentlemen. Which quarterback is under the most pressure to get his team to the Super Bowl?
Okay, I'll start it off.
All right.
Peyton Manning.
All right.
His career is coming to an end.
Okay.
And Denver hasn't won it since John Elway. And so, I think the clock's kind of ticking.
Ticking on, yeah. That's fair to
so
say.
I think this is could be his last chance.
Yeah. Let's kick it to Cam.
His kid brother Eli has one more than him, right?
Yeah, believe it or not, yeah. And I think it is his last. And Denver has brought in some people to say, okay, we're with you here. We got to get you the tools. He's got the tools for sure. So where are you going with him, Mike?
I think Colin Kaepernick in San Francisco is under the gun.
So you guys just read my mind.
I think that San Francisco has been an elite team. They have the defense and the offensive weapons to get back there. There's been some criticism with regard to now that the other teams are aware of the skill set of Colin Kaepernick. Has he got the arm to get them there? Because now they're leaving people at home to cover him in case he does decide to run and that sort of thing. So is his arm good enough to get them to the Super Bowl? So I think the pressure is on him because San Fran thinks that, they should be there and they should be the team to beat. So.
Yeah, very disappointing end last year for sure to the
Yeah.
eventual Super Bowl champions.
Yeah.
Who do you like, Matt, or not who do you like? Who are you putting the pressure on there? Because they're going to watch this show, you know that.
Of
okay?
course,
So-
huge fans. Yeah, a guy on the outside for me is Nick Foles in Philadelphia.
Oh, okay.
Philadelphia's got a real good team, and they've been waiting for something to happen there since the Donovan McNabb days. And that may be unfair pressure on the guy because he is a younger guy who just took that job over. But a guy that I think Philadelphia Eagles fans in general aren't going to be waiting around forever for. There's other guys in that group that may not have Super Bowl champion teams, but guys that, like a Jay Cutler in Chicago or somebody that's got that kind of pressure on them too. And, it's do or die for a lot of guys this year.
Jay Cutler may be my least favorite quarterback. I just think this guy is a pretender. And boy, oh boy, the sooner he leaves the league, the happier I am. That's right. I'm with you though, Mike. Colin Kaepernick, I think, is under the gun big time. I agree with you. I think teams have figured him out somewhat, and he has to almost, I'm not saying totally reinvent himself, but he's got to show something different.
Yeah.
And they are expecting to win in San Francisco.
think so.
It's now, right now. There's no tomorrow. I think Kaepernick has to be that leader that gets him there. I think he's under the gun big time.
He's got to win.
And you know what?
Bring
We'll
in
throw
fill that
Matthew
new
Stafford
stadium.
in there, and I'm not going to say to the Super Bowl. I know, Cam, you wanted to just say to the playoff. Maybe that's where Stafford falls in, where he's got to get the Lions into the playoffs. And I know there's a lot of people that are not picking the Lions to get to the playoffs. In fact, I've talked to some people that have them at 7 and 9. So
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to happen, but
Yeah.
a lot of pressure there, that's for sure. The other thing, speaking of the Super Bowl, the NFL recently announces that if you want to perform at halftime, you're going to pay us. Yeah, right there. There's Bruno Mars at the last Super Bowl. He didn't have to pay to be there. The next time somebody performs, they got to pay. What a statement by the NFL. Wow. Do they know that they do have the biggest stage in North America anyways, for sure?
Well, you bring up Bruno Mars. I think the NFL they're not dummies.
No.
And during the Super Bowl, they had 112 million people, U.S. now, I'm talking U.S.,
Sure.
watch the Super Bowl. During halftime with Bruno Mars, they had 115.2 million people watching the Super Bowl. His record sales on his jukebox album that he performed at the Super Bowl increased 167% the next day after the Super Bowl. Bruno Mars made good. The NFL has never paid anyone at halftime. Paul McCartney, the Rolling Stones, Madonna, Beyonce, nobody's been paid. It cost them $600,000 for Beyonce's halftime show, but she didn't get paid.
She's high maintenance anyways, as
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
So,
but they're saying, okay, look, worldwide, what do we have, 380 million fans watch this? What will it do for your career?
Yeah.
Especially if in your twilight. Aerosmith, put Aerosmith on there. It could revitalize whatever they had going for them or whatever.
do they have anything left there?
Anything, that's right.
I love Aerosmith, don't get me wrong. But I don't know if there's much left in the tank.
But I think, and what the NFL basically is proposing is, okay, you perform, we charge nothing. We charge you nothing for performing. We pay for the whole stage and the show and background singers and everything else. But afterwards, you give us 10% of your gross. Afterwards in sales.
Yeah, I'm wondering how they're. Yeah, maybe. I'm wondering, Dom, how they're structuring this. Are they thinking let's just recover our costs? Are they thinking let's make some money off this? Like Mike just said, right? I'd be curious to the details. They certainly have the pricing power, don't they?
Obviously.
Somebody had the bright light go off. Go, hey, why are we giving this away?
Yeah, it's a selling point for
The
it.
three songs
And let's
that-
face it, that's all it's about with the Super Bowl. Make the money.
Yes.
The 3 songs that Madonna sung at the Super Bowl, the next day on iTunes went up 1,100%. Those 3 songs.
So this is obviously a right move by the NFL.
And I'm interested more than anything to see who is going to cough this money up. Are you going to get a big, like a Rolling Stones or Rihanna or somebody like that to spend that kind of money to do the show? Or are you going to get labels that are going to have their next big thing perform at the Super Bowl? Because, I mean, if you had somebody standing there in a house coat, people are going to watch it because it's the Super Bowl halftime show. So are you going to get guys that are trying to bring, the guys like Aerosmith or somebody that's holding on to something that wants one last kick at the can of popularity? Or are you going to get the young kid that wants that to be the boost of their career, their own American Idol stage?
Yeah, maybe it comes down to whoever's the promotional manager for these acts. I mean, you look at a guy that needs to rejuvenate his career somewhat is our Canadian-owned Justin Bieber. I mean, let's face it, this guy's fallen on some hard times. He needs to do something to, jumpstart himself again.
Exactly.
Gentlemen, don't forget though, the NFL tends to be very conservative.
Conservative,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
So I couldn't see them, kind of going out in left field.
Yeah,
with
but
some
you know
act.
what? But that's a great point you bring up, Cam. But if the NFL says we want this much money and Bieber's people are willing to pay it, how can they? I mean, does that not almost become?
Right.
I don't want to see somewhat like discrimination here. The NFL. I don't think. As much clout as they have, I don't think they can just close the door on somebody because they're uncomfortable with.
The NFL to a degree, though.
Madonna's been controversial
Right.
Yeah.
over the years.
Janet Jackson is still on the blacklist.
Yeah,
She can't even go to the game anymore. So.
Yeah, they don't even want her in the city. So,
Yeah,
but
I think their demographic too has to be considered. Who's watching the halftime show? So I think they have to be somewhat reputable, somewhat accepted by society as good people or whatever because of the demographic that they're in. Bruno Mars was actually, in NFL terms, considered risky business because
I can see that.
because he may appear to the young set and that sort of thing,
Yeah.
but that older demographic, did they walk away?
But isn't that? You look at the entertainment industry. We're getting into a different area here, but the MVA awards were just on the other night, and the MVA people don't care, but if you're the network, you're just worried that. What's her name? She came out and she had a malfunction right away. Nicki Minaj. Now was it a malfunction? I think she did it on purpose. That's what she's all about. But they just have to be just like on eggshells that entire show. Who's going to do what? What Miley Cyrus did a couple of years ago, things like that. Isn't that the case with all of these artists today? So again, how do you filter that out? And this is going to be, I can see where the NFL is coming with this, but just the same, I think it's going to open up maybe some headaches for them as well.
Sure.
Yeah. No, maybe.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think I like the idea of getting some money out of the halftime show and putting all of this together. But I think when you get the list of the people that are going to do that, if they're going to start cutting it down, I think they may end up thinking it was a great idea on paper, but not realistic.
So the NFL is going to get some money out of this, and then comes along the NFL's Players Union. Well, how come we're not getting a cut of that money, guys? There's another can of worms we're going to open up here, right?
Exactly.
Here's another one for you.
All right.
If the act is paying, do they ask for more time? And does halftime last longer now?
See, and you've hit a really sore spot with me there, Cam. If I'm an athlete and I'm playing, let's face it, for some of these guys, they get to the Super Bowl once. It's the biggest game of their life. And they have to sit in this dressing room for 40 minutes, 45 minutes because of this halftime show. And they have to go out basically cold back into that second half, which I think is ridiculous. I think that's something that's never been taken into consideration. Again, you three gentlemen are all former athletes. You know what that's all about. I think it just throws everything off. I agree with you, Cam. Time? I think the time should be shortened. You get 2 songs, that's it. Get out of here. Yeah, everybody's just like, you're nuts. Yeah, right.
It's all about making money.
Well, it is all about it. Yeah. So if you had your choice, who would you want to see entertaining at halftime?
Oh, man.
Yeah, I've got my own musical bias.
Well, give it to us. So maybe you get them out there, Cam.
I do like, I'm an old fogey, I guess. I do like the older acts. Like, for example, I loved it when Paul McCartney was on stage.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great call.
I saw him at Co-America, remember, a few years ago. It was awesome.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great call. Who would you pick, Mike?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, gee. I don't know. It would be, I'm kind of on the old side. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Give us one, Matt.
Kid Rock.
Kid Rock.
Oh, yeah.
Kid Rock does a lot of that stuff. He's
He
pretty
likes doing that
successful.
kind of thing. He's going to cross a line, but he's
Oh, yeah.
entertaining doing
Oh, yeah.
it. So
Yeah, I'm old school like Cam. I'm going to say Phil Collins. I love the guy. I think he's got great music.
that'd be great.
He's got a ton of hits, and I think he'd be doing an outstanding job. And they wouldn't have to worry about any wardrobe malfunctions because even Phil Collins realized we don't want to see him. So, gentlemen, thanks for coming into the show. Did a great job with it. Hopefully, we'll run into you again soon. That's this edition of the Sports Den. Again, check us out again next Tuesday night for another edition of the Sports Den Live. Until then, this is Domenic Papa wishing you a great night. Thanks for tuning in.